So, really the question is, why should Arjuna fight if he doesn't want to kill people? Well, first of all, it's his duty as a soldier. I mean, you have to do your duty. You have to fulfill your role in society, and it would be shameful not to. But how that's not really an answer, is it, to Arjuna's qualms about hurting these people? Krishna has to offer something more, and he certainly does. If you look on the opening page, he tells Arjuna, he says, "You grieve for those beyond grief, and you speak words of insight, but learned men do not grieve for the dead or the living." Learned men, people with real insight, they don't grieve for the dead or the living. That would be a mistake. "Never have I not existed," he says, "nor you, nor these kings, and never in the future shall we cease to exist." Put these things in perspective. Right? I have always existed, so have you, so have they all, and we will all continue to exist in the future. Just as the embodied self enters childhood, youth, and old age, so does it enter into another body. This does not confound a steadfast man. I mean, remember, everybody comes back, man. Everybody comes back. Contacts with matter, he says, matter, the world, the nature, they make us feel heat and cold, pleasure and pain. Arjuna, you must learn to endure fleeting things. They come and go. Now it's getting very Platonic, right? Or very similar to Plato. We're in these bodies, and we're in nature, and we feel pleasure and pain, and all these sensations, and we fall in love, and we have all sorts of emotions. But that gets us caught up in, at best, the surface level of reality. We got to overcome these things. He continues, "When these cannot torment a man, when suffering and joy are equal for him, when you're indifferent, and he has courage, he is fit for immortality. Nothing of non-being comes to be, nor does being cease to exist. The boundary between these two is seen by men who see reality." I'll repeat that. Nothing of non-being comes to be, nor does being cease to exist. I mean, what is he telling them there? I mean, you're not really killing them. You know that, right? And if they kill you, they're not really killing you, because whatever makes you, you, and them, is not something that can be killed. He continues, "Indestructible is the presence that pervades all this. No one can destroy this unchanging reality." That is, don't you recognize that there's something about you and me and everyone that is an unchanging thing, that is deeper than what can be seen and touched, the things of the body. Our bodies, he says, are known to end, but the embodied self, and let's call it the self, and that seems to correspond to what, for instance, Plato called the soul. The embodied self is enduring. It remains indestructible and immeasurable. Therefore, Arjuna, fight the battle. He who thinks this self a killer and he who thinks it killed both fail to understand. It does not kill, nor is it killed. It is not born, it does not die. Having been, it will never not be. Unborn, enduring, constant, and primordial, it is not killed when the body is killed. That's really something, isn't it? I try to understand texts like these through the texts I'm more familiar with in the Western tradition. That philosophy of being is very close to what some philosophers have, Western philosophers have espoused, very similar to an ancient philosopher named Parmenides, who came just before Socrates and Plato and Aristotle. That notion that what is, what has being, cannot cease to exist, just as what is not, what is non-being, cannot come into being. Doesn't make any sense. The world that we see around us, the world of change and nature and flux, the world that we access through our senses, that is, as in Plato, is just the surface level of reality. And it's part of what we have to endure because we're here and we're in this form, but it's not what's really real. And if we're concentrating on this, if you're concentrating on getting rich or accumulating as many pleasures as you want, Jesus would say you've lost focus. If you're concentrating on, your pity and love for these other human beings who you're going to have to fight in this battle and perhaps kill, Krishna is saying, I think, to Arjuna, you're concentrating on the wrong thing. You're caught up in the shine and the illusion of the surface level of reality, and you're forgetting that what's really real is really going to be completely unaffected by the events of this battle, and that is the enduring self, the embodied self, which cannot be killed.